devotees were trying to bring some important people to meet Prabhupada because he'd requested that. So, you know, like some ministers of government, heads of departments, ministers of religion, even I think a bishop came, and someone from the Catholic Church, a high official from the Catholic Church. So Prabhupada was sitting and preaching to all these people. And then someone brought in a gentleman, and he came into the room. I don't know, someone announced he's such and such, and gave his title. And he sat down, and Prabhupada looked up. He was behind his desk. And he said, he said, "You have any questions?" So this man, I was looking at him. This man, he's just sitting there, and he was wide-eyed, like that. He looked a little unstable, actually, to me. He looked wide. He didn't say anything. He was just silent. And Prabhupada just began preaching to him. He didn't wait for any reply. I mean, the man was silent. He didn't say anything. So he probably just started preaching, you know, about not the body, you know, very kind of basic, or part and parcel of God. Name of God is Krishna. And he went on and on and on and on. Long time. And the gentleman was just sitting there, didn't say anything. And then at the end, he had that man had that same expression. His face is wide-eyed, just looking at Prabhupada like this. And then Prabhupada stopped and he said, "So, give him some prasadam." So some devotee had some fruit or something on a plate. They thanked him for coming. He still didn't say anything. The whole time he didn't say anything. And then they let him outside. Then after he left, Prabhupada turned to the devotees and said, "That man was ghostly possessed." And I've been thinking there's something strange with him, but Prabhupada immediately, he knew. But still, the wonder of it was that he just preached to him. He wasn't phased his condition or anything. I mean, he'd been brought in as a guest, and Prabhupada treated him as a guest, no matter what his condition was, and I could see that. And then all other, you know, Prabhupada talked to many different types of people, and all of them he treated them as guests very cordially, very respectfully. Of course, one time there was a professor was invited, and he began to challenge, and especially challenge the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and challenge the devotees. And I think Guru Kripa was there at the time, standing next to Prabhupada, and he protested. He said, "Look, you know, you're coming, and now we brought you to meet our spiritual master, and now you're starting to insult him." And Prabhupada wasn't saying anything at this point. And just trying to think what the exchange there was quite dramatic. That he said, that the professor said something to the effect that you people pose yourself as knowing everything, and then that, you know, he was talking to Guru Kripa, and when he was talking to Guru Kripa and he started to take an insulting kind of mood to Guru Kripa, then Prabhupada responded back. He said, "We opposing as knowing everything, or you opposing as knowing everything? We are narrow, or you are narrow?" So then it was the moment was very tense. There was a kind of a silence. But then, just as that moment came, Prabhupada just changed the whole mood around. I said, "Anyway," and then he started speaking very respectfully to him. And then by the end of the discussion, this man went away, very grateful that he came. Although in the beginning, obviously, he'd come to sort of challenge, and he was a bit agitated by the devotees, and I think that was his mood when he initially came, to actually challenge Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was so expert that he just changed his whole mood around. He defeated his challenge, And simultaneously, this man went away respectful to Prabhupada. Incredible.
One day Ganesh Prabhu, who was in Perth also, he brought his mother and his sister to meet Prabhupada. And his mother's Hebrew. And she was feeling defensive, that this is a confrontation. You're saying your religion is the truth, so that means you're saying mine's not the truth. And Prabhupada was reassuring her by saying, it doesn't matter whether one's Hebrew or Christian or Hindu or Jew. If one knows God and loves God, then that is the truth or the proper path. But still she was saying defensive things. And again he said, it doesn't matter, Hebrew, Hindu, Christian, Jew. If you know God and you love God, then that is the truth, that is the path, or something like that. So then she became at ease, and she was comfortable. She didn't feel challenged. She let her defenses down. And then Prabhupada, he had this certain mood. When he was in a certain mood, his eyes would be very soft, and he was very humble, and he said, so, can you tell me who God is? And then she turned all red, and she looked down, and it's like, oh, I couldn't say anything about that. And then her daughter, Ganesha's sister, said, God is love, or something like that. But then she realized that she was defensive, and Prabhupada sort of disarmed her defense, and then he just very humbly asked if she knew who God was. Because that was the point. If you know God, if you love God, then that's the truth. So do you know God? She didn't know anything. And then Prabhupada began to explain that Krishna, who Krishna is, that he's Bhagavan, that he has unlimited beauty, unlimited wealth, unlimited strength, unlimited fame, unlimited renunciation. Advaitam achutam aladim alantarupam. He's the original person, and from him unlimited other forms of himself arise, and that he is eternally young, although he's the oldest. Adyan Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. He is the oldest of all. He's the original person, but he's eternally young. He never grows old. So then he was just telling her who God is. That was very nice to see the way Prabhupada dealt with her feelings and then just told her who Krishna was in such a way that she could listen.
I particularly remember that he mentioned on one show, there was some kind of Christian minister that was going around and really heavily criticizing us, and he was being invited to different talk shows. So he was criticizing us how we worship this man, you know, this mythological man who had sex with 16,000 wives, and you know, he was trying to make out that actually the whole basis of our movement is immorality. It's a typical kind of thing that people think that Krishna is an ordinary man and that he's immoral. And so Prabhupada then very nicely, very strongly, but very expertly explained how sex desire is there originally in the spiritual world. And for Krishna, sex is not bad. He's God. He enjoys everything. So why only 16,000? You know, he can enjoy 16 million. And for him it is not bad. But he said, for you, it is bad. He said, you cannot have sex. You know, and, you know, attacking. This was Prabhupada's method. He would cut them down and give, you know, real philosophical reasons, but really punch them home as well. It was very strong. So he explained there that how, you know, the Adiras, that's the original form of sex desire, the original rases that Krishna has in the spiritual world. But in the material world, when they imitate Krishna, then it becomes the most degraded. So for Krishna, what is the most highest activity, when it's reflected pervertedly in the material world, it becomes the very lowest and the most degraded. And you know, so that was one point anyway that he explained there.
Prabhupada, someone said the Namhat know the whole 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada says, so he wanted to impress these life members. And suddenly the whole Nam Hut turned around and it was just me. I was the end of the room. So I go, Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapina Lipite. It was the first sloka out of the 5th chapter I could think of. And it sounded so lilting and sort of, the tune sounded so bad. And, but the life member, to sort of ease the embarrassment, said, very nice melody. And Prabhupada said, yes, very nice melody, thank you very much, sit down. But I was supposed to chant the whole 5th chapter, the whole Nam Hut was, and we didn't do it. Prabhupada was very merciful, very tolerant.